So today is day 4, unit 4, and we will be discussing these topics today, working with the elementary data objects and all these topics, whatever you can see on the screen. So those things we will be looking into, and also we will be doing hands-on in SAP GUI server. Okay, so the first part is this part 1, data types and objects. We will have two types of standard types which will be predefined by SAP. One is this complete type and the incomplete type. So what do you mean by complete type? Complete type is like the which contains the type which is related to fixed length information. That means you don't have to define the length for that complete type. For example, date. So date by default the format is YYYMMDT. So this length 8 is fixed. Similarly for T, HHMMSS length 6 is fixed. Similarly we have integer which length 4 is fixed. Then floating length 8 is fixed. String, it is a dynamic length. So whatever value you will give to the string, based on that, it will take that dynamic length. And extreme, so I think in your computer classes, I think this byte sequence and all, it will be there, right? So that is extreme, which is dynamic length byte sequence. If you go to the incomplete ABAP standard types, they are incomplete because the length of the variable has to be specified for the data object definitions, which is contrary to the complete types. Okay, this incomplete types doesn't have a fixed length. You have to define a length for the incomplete type. So these are certain incomplete ABAP standard types like C, numeric N, X for the hexadecimal string, P as in packed numbers. Okay, so for which the fixed length has to be fixed. And here the number of the decimal points also needs to be added. Floating point is a complete type, whereas packed is an incomplete type. Okay, so what we will do is we will create a program with all these kind of data types, and we will try to assign some values and we will see how it looks like. Okay, so we will create a program here. Go to SET. Okay, I might have created few programs. CTRL plus this symbol. Sorry, this symbol. Okay, this is for commenting, and control plus this symbol is uncommented. Okay, that will be helpful in like whenever you are writing a program and uncommenting or commenting. So let's start writing. So whenever you try to create any object, so if you see this data object, so data objects are always defined with a data keyword. So whenever we are declaring any variable, so it has to be with data or types or like. So we will going forward. I'll show you. So how we can create a standard type, local type, global type, type to a data object. Okay, and like is also used to an already defined object whenever we are defining the additional variables. Similarly, we have something called as constants and literals. Okay, so these are the variables. So basically we will have the static, reference and system variables. So let's first go to the incomplete and complete types and then create it. So if you want, you can also practice with me, or else you can look into this thing. So this is the type of D. Okay, this is date. Then time. I will just show you like few variables with incomplete and complete types. Okay. Either you can give here as a comma and declare it like this, okay, without using data number of times, or you can declare like this, give a full stop and again declare here it as a data. Okay, so first one I'm just declaring like this, second one I will give you a comma, and then it will consider the same data keyword for everything. And always practice to use any comments, like whatever you are declaring any variable, just try to practice some putting some logs in that. So this is a time kind of variable. Okay, this one is the integer, right? So what we will do is we'll just mention here the complete types. Okay. And incomplete types. There are so many others as well, but just for example, I'm just showing you the completed incomplete types. And if type C, if you specify length here, then it will take the length whatever you are giving. Okay, so this one is a character type. So when you have a complete new line, you can use control this symbol. Okay, and when you have to comment here, you can press shift apostrophe like that. Okay, so that will again comment it in that particular line. Okay, so similarly I'll take type and length 10 like this, and so on. So now if I want to assign to something, so in this way, this is numeric. So there are certain variables called as the system variables, which I said, right? One is as I mentioned here, there are static variables, reference variables, and system variables. So the system variables are certain variables which are like whatever is predefined by the system. So there is a table called as SYST, which this has all the ABAP system fields. So if you want to use, say for example, date field, then we will be using it as a side item. Okay. Similarly, if you want to use a time field, then it will be sci time no, okay, or sci use date, right? So you can use this sci datum. So this will give you the system date. So few fields like sci subversi is to used to check if there is any syntax error or not. If the sci subversi value equal to 0, whenever you are using any processing logic, okay, or retrieval logic, select query or read query or loop query, then at that time you use sci subversi. Similarly, if you want to use a system fields, then for the date, this is sci datum. Okay, and if I give here write date lb underscore date, similarly I will again press time equal to sci result. Okay, this is another system variable. If you double click on it, it will take you to this thing. Okay, so this is the system variable. You just give a sci and then this field. So this will give the current time of the application server. So there are so many system fields which you can just try it out. And when you use write, if you press like this, then it will give you in the new line. Okay, so this this one, this keyword, whatever we have used this symbol, it is for the new line. Okay. Let's do the syntax check. Let's do a pretty printer. Okay, I do not have the pretty printer settings. Let's do that pretty printer setting. I will make it as a upper one key is correct. Now if I do a pretty printer, so all the keywords become in a. So now if I execute it, you can see this, right? Date and time. So time is like whatever the system time it is giving, and date is today's date it is giving. So if I don't use this one, see, it gives you in one line. Generally for new line, we will give this. Now, say for example, we have right now YYDDMM format, right? So if I want to change it to like DDMMYYY format, okay? So how do I do that? Now we have this LV date, right? So I will declare one more variable here. This is to convert. So always whatever you write, just write the log in there. Convert the date format. Okay. So I will declare another variable. This is a variable. Why it is called as a variable? Because its value can be changed. When I say constant, so constant will be having the constant or a fixed value. Okay. We will use that constants going forward. How to use that constant, I'll show you. But as of now, we are using these variables. Variables means you can manipulate the value of those variables. So now my requirement is I have a certain date in certain format. I want to change it to DDMMYY format. Now ours it is. So what I will do is I will take like date. This one is the LB date. Okay. So I will convert this. Date to type save 30. Okay. Now I will use this one here. Write dot. Before that, I will assign give a separator. See, now the format is changed to this way. Okay. Similarly, if you see this time, it is in like 1054 seconds, right? So if I want to give it with a with a mask, okay, so that also we can do. Now, say for example, if I try to give declare a variable, okay, so LB time we have taken it, right? So I use it. So I will declare another variable here. This is for converting the time format.
I have a question here.
Yes.
So we are changing the format, the date format. I mean, if giving by slash, right?
No, that
Uh,
is like this is just giving a separator to that, like dot format. Internally, it is converting into like six. Earlier, how it was coming, 1605
1605,
2023. So
right?
just we give a separator. That's where you are giving this dd dot m. So if I convert it like this will give me an error, I guess. Yeah, this will give me an error.
Yeah. So can we change the format in the first line of the date itself?
Sorry, where?
I mean, when we are declaring the date,
So see, this side item, right? What we have given directly the side item value, right? The
right?
side item will take it in that format. If
Okay.
you as a side item, so internally that will convert it into date, month, and year format without any gaps. So if you try to, so there are other function modules also how you can convert. Generally, we will not use like this. Okay, it is just to show you how we are converting it into this format. But mostly we will be using, there are certain convert date into internal format. Some function modules are used. So that way you will be able to change the format of the date.
Okay.
Okay. So similarly, time also, if you want to change a particular time by giving a masking, so that also you can do this. Time to, let's say I take it as the length 30. Okay. So in that case, I'm just writing here, right, LB time. LB time is already mentioned as I use 8. I'm just assigning that time to LB time 2 using edit mask. So what it will do, I'll just put like this. Time with format. Just one. Now can you see this? 10:50. Did you understand what happened here? I gave one space there, right? That's why it was only assigning one value. So say for example your time was 10:59:02, right? So when I was giving one space here, like one underscore, so what it was doing is it was able to hold only one value. Out of 10, it was giving one. When I gave this, then it took the two values of 10 and it was showing like this. Got it? Similarly, if I want to show you how this packed values it looks like, suppose declare a packed number variable with 7 decimal places if I want to do it. So tag number variable. If you want to declare like this, then we tag p length and decimals 7. So we underscore back equal to, suppose for example I will give you here 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 point 987654321, like this. I have just assigned it, and I will just give you LV underscore back. Let's see how it shows. You can just try it out with all these complete and incomplete types, how it looks like. See, this is how it will show you. 123.45, because this is a packed number, right? So decimals 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. After 7 it should display, right? Decimal 7 it should display, right? 1 2 3 4 5 6 dot 789. After that this comma. So it is again a packed format which takes the decimal with length 10. But if you say floating number, right? What is the difference between the, let's see, if I give a floating number, float type F, we don't have to specify here the float with decimals or anything. So say for example, if I give here float equal to 234 dot 67890. Okay. So floating point length is what I specified. It has length 8, correct? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I've given 9 character. So now if I give here as LV underscore float, so it is actually taking it in this way. I give decimals, it will take decimal 3. Specification is only allowed for type B. It will not allow for floating. Whatever it is taking in this format. So just try out with all the type of complete and incomplete types which I said, and then you will be able to understand the difference between that. So when we are using this data objects data, so that is defined with the data keyword. You can use an ABAP standard type, local type, or a global type to type a data object. You can refer to an already defined data object when you are defining an additional variables with the like addition. Okay. If the type information is missing in a variable definition, then the standard type C is assumed. Say for example, if I give here as data LV underscore C. Okay. So by default, this LV underscore C will take character value. Okay. If I give here, sorry, I have to give here as right. Let's say I get 5, 6. So it doesn't take anything because this is a character. I have given an integer value. That's why it was not able to recognize what it is. But say, for example, if I put it under quotes, okay, here also there will be one issue. So it will take only one value. So this character, so if we don't declare any length or anything, it will take the character with length 1 by default. Okay. Whenever we declare something called as flag or something, we give the value with the constant. Similarly, if the type information is missing in a variable definition, the standard type C is confirmed. In contrast, if the length is missing, right, then the appropriate default length for the incomplete standard type is used. Like character default is 1. So if like how I showed you, like if I have given data LV underscore C without a type or a length information, that it defines a character variable with a length of 1, as the default length of C is 1, right? So now if I will just try to, I have created that city from this one, right? So we have seen this, like how we are giving it as a variable and the uh, type of the structure and the structure variable and type structure. So now what we will do is, using these complete types and incomplete types, we will try to create certain calculations, right? So our agenda was like, we will use some basic ABAP statements, and then we will do certain calculations as well using this complete and incomplete types.